You probably think it takes forever, like months or maybe even years of doing visualizations, working on healing yourself, and putting in massive effort before your life actually transforms. Most people believe that genuine breakthroughs only show up after you've been through extended periods of pain and struggle. That true alignment is something you can only achieve after checking off every single spiritual practice on your list and becoming a master at dozens of different techniques. But here's something that might completely shift your perspective. What if the actual transformation, the real quantum leap that changes everything, happens in a moment that's so incredibly subtle that the vast majority of people miss it entirely? There's this hidden pattern that shows up right before someone's reality actually shifts, but it's completely invisible if you don't know what you're looking for. It's not something that happens when you're grinding harder or pushing yourself to the limit. It actually happens when something deep inside you finally lets go, stops fighting against what is, stops questioning everything, stops trying so hard to make things happen. That's the precise moment when the quantum field starts to respond to you. In this video, we're going to explore the exact energetic frequency that triggers a quantum change in your life, and we'll dig into why simplicity is literally the one thing your ego fights against the most. You're going to learn about the energy-based skills that actually matter way more than any strategy or technique you've been taught, the subtle signs that show you're standing right on the edge of a timeline shift, and why those breakdowns you've been experiencing aren't failures at all. They're actually sacred initiations into something greater. But let's start with something you've probably felt deep in your bones, even if you've never had the right words to describe it. That weird resistance you feel when things start to get easy. That specific moment when life begins to flow smoothly, and instead of feeling relieved, you feel unsettled. That moment when you experience deep inner clarity and your logical mind immediately demands concrete proof that it's real. You've absolutely been there before, caught in that friction between what your soul knows to be true and what your ego fears might happen. We exist in a society that literally worships struggle. Hard work gets celebrated everywhere you look. Complexity gets treated like it's some badge of honor. If something feels too simple, we automatically assume it must be wrong or fake. If something arrives too easily in our lives, we find ways to convince ourselves that we didn't really earn it or deserve it. But here's the thing about the quantum field. It genuinely doesn't care about how hard you work or how much you hustle. It responds purely to how clear your frequency is in any given moment. And clarity, true clarity, almost always lives in the space of simplicity, the real challenge. Simplicity is actually threatening to the false version of yourself. Because if it's really that simple, then what was all that struggle even for? If things can change easily and effortlessly, what does that say about the entire identity you've constructed around proving yourself, fixing yourself, or endlessly trying to improve? Simplicity has this way of stripping away the story you've been telling yourself. And when that story starts to fade away, there's literally nothing left to hide behind anymore. This is exactly why so many people unconsciously sabotage their own evolution and growth. Not because there's something broken inside them, but because they're genuinely scared of how quiet and silent truth can actually be. They're expecting thunder and lightning, but what actually arrives is stillness and peace. They want fireworks and dramatic moments. The field offers quiet presence. Yet it's precisely in that quiet space where genuine transformation actually begins to take root. The quantum field is always mirroring back to you who you're being in this moment, not what you're saying you want or asking for. It's not sitting around waiting for your next affirmation or positive thought. It's syncing up with your present identity right now. And the exact moment you stop forcing outcomes and start simply being yourself, the entire feedback loop shifts. You stop looking outside yourself for confirmation and validation. You stop trying to adjust your inner world just to match whatever's happening in your outer world. Instead, you start to hold your energetic tone steady, regardless of what's happening around you. This is the fundamental difference between manifesting and shifting. Manifesting often carries this implication that you're striving and reaching for something you don't yet have in your life. Shifting means you're becoming the version of yourself who already lives that new reality in a different version of now. The only thing standing between you and that reality isn't time or effort or hard work. It's simply your frequency, your energetic state. So let me ask you something. What if your transformation isn't actually difficult, just completely unfamiliar to you? What if the real reason you feel stuck isn't your circumstances or surroundings, but your deep attachment to making things complicated? What if, instead of feeling your way into a new timeline, you've been trying to think and analyze your way into it this whole time? In the next part of this message, we're going to explore exactly why so many people struggle to hold a stable energetic signal and how your unconscious patterns might be generating interference in the field that the universe simply doesn't recognize or respond to. You're going to uncover the subtle ways you've been blocking resonance without even realizing it, and learn how to transmit a frequency that life can finally respond to and reflect back. Stay with this journey because simplicity, it's genuinely your access point to everything you want, and once you truly feel it and embody it, everything in your reality starts shifting naturally. If quantum change is so simple and straightforward, then why do so few people actually experience it in their lives? Why does it feel like there's some invisible wall that keeps you circling around the same emotions and patterns even when you consciously know better? Why do your efforts seem to stall out right at the moment when it looks like you're about to break through to something new? It's because simplicity asks for something that goes way deeper than effort or action. It demands pure awareness. And awareness without the comfortable buffer of complexity can feel incredibly raw and vulnerable when you first experience it. When things are complicated and layered, you can point to the technique you're using, the method you're following, the process you're working through. But when everything's stripped down to something simple, there's no shield to protect you anymore. The spotlight turns inward, and you're confronted with one honest question. Am I actually ready to shift right now? Let's start by looking at what keeps most people from maintaining the right frequency consistently. It's their blind spots. These aren't failures or character flaws. They're unconscious loops and patterns that you've grown so familiar with that you don't even notice them operating anymore. Emotional defaults that feel completely normal to you. Stories you've been telling yourself for so long that they've become completely indistinguishable from objective fact in your mind. But here's the deeper truth underneath it all. The quantum field doesn't react to what you consciously think you want. It mirrors back exactly who you already are beneath the surface level. So while your conscious mind might be picturing wealth and abundance, your underlying frequency may still be completely laced with scarcity and lack. Not because you're not trying hard enough, but because you've never actually investigated what your baseline signal truly is. Pause for a moment and really feel into that. What kind of energy are you actually broadcasting when nobody else is around? What's the emotional atmosphere of your internal world when all the work is done and you're just being? That right there. That's your true frequency. That's what the quantum field actually aligns itself to and reflects back. This is where the first real skill begins to develop, self-awareness. And I'm not talking about the kind of self-awareness that comes from journaling exercises or casual reflection. This is the type of awareness that witnesses your thoughts happening in real time without feeling this compulsive need to fix them or change them. The kind of awareness that notices when you're slipping into survival mode and actively chooses not to follow that old pattern. The awareness that creates space between what triggers you and how you identify yourself. Next comes a shift that's even more powerful in its impact. Radical responsibility. This right here is the real turning point in the journey. It's not about beating yourself up or blaming yourself for everything. It's about genuinely owning what you're projecting into the field, even the parts you'd really rather ignore or pretend don't exist. When you move from asking, why is this happening to me, over to what is this revealing about my current frequency, the field responds in a completely different way. Victim energy is loud and noisy, but ultimately unstable. Responsibility is subtle and quiet, but deeply magnetic. And then comes the next level of practice, what I call accountability states. These are specific internal frequencies that you learn to return to again and again, no matter what's happening externally in your life. Most people sit around waiting for life to confirm their energy before they'll hold it. But the people who actually shift timelines, they anchor that energy first before seeing any external evidence. Those who truly shift timelines learn to maintain their frequency consistently until reality literally has no choice but to align itself with that signal. Accountability means honoring your energetic state, even when it feels uncomfortable. even when logic and common sense say you're being delusional, even when absolutely everything in your external world looks completely stuck. And then comes what might be the most paradoxical practice of all, releasing your need to interpret and assign meaning to everything. We've been conditioned our entire lives to assign meaning to absolutely everything that happens. This is good, that's bad, this means I'm getting closer to my goal, that means I've failed and should give up. But what if the lowest point you're experiencing right now is actually the final stage right before your breakthrough arrives? What if the chaos you're feeling is simply your old vibration falling apart and dissolving? Detachment doesn't mean shutting off your emotions or becoming cold. It means dropping the compulsive habit of assigning meaning to every single experience. It means allowing your experience to move through you without layering judgment on top of it. Because in the quantum realm, time isn't linear the way we experience it. The darkest part of your journey may actually be the exact moment when your energy field is reconfiguring itself to receive what you've been asking for this whole time. You're not just learning to shift your mindset or change your thoughts. You're learning to sustain a specific vibration as if it were already your reality. And that requires real boldness and courage. It's so much easier to keep yourself busy with techniques and affirmations and practices. It's way harder to sit in complete silence and admit to yourself that maybe, just maybe, you're not actually ready yet. That maybe you're still gripping onto the old story because it's familiar, because it protects you, because letting it go means stepping into the unknown without any guarantees. This is where most people unconsciously pump the brakes. They get right to the edge of transformation and then find reasons to stay comfortable. They tell themselves they need more time, more knowledge, more proof. But the truth is, the shift doesn't require more of anything external. It requires less internal resistance. The universe isn't asking you to become someone new. It's inviting you to remember who you've always been underneath all the conditioning and programming. And that remembering, that return to your essential self, happens in the space of simplicity, not complexity. When you finally stop trying to figure everything out and just allow yourself to be, that's when the magic actually starts happening. Right now, before we go any deeper into this, I want to invite you into something real and meaningful. If you've been feeling like something's finally making sense, if a part of you is starting to realize your own power in a new way, tap that like button if you just had an aha moment. Because energy responds to energy, like genuinely attracts like, and I want you to subscribe and stay connected to this space. We're growing together, shifting together, and there's so much more to explore on this journey. Now let's talk about something that most people completely overlook: emotional coherence. Your emotions aren't just feelings that happen to you. They're literally signals you're sending out into the quantum field. And the quality of those signals determines what gets reflected back to you in your physical reality. Think about it like this. When you're feeling scattered, anxious, or conflicted, your signal is noisy and unclear. The field receives mixed messages and sends back mixed results. But when you're in a state of emotional coherence, when your heart, mind, and gut are all aligned and sending the same message, your signal becomes crystal clear. That's when synchronicities start showing up. That's when opportunities appear out of nowhere. That's when people and circumstances align themselves with your vision effortlessly. The beautiful thing about emotional coherence is that it isn't something you manufacture or force into existence. It's something you allow and surrender into. It's not the result of control or willpower. It's the result of letting go and trusting. You can't fake genuine resonance. You can't think your way into truly magnetic energy. You arrive there by relaxing into the truth of who you already are underneath all the conditioning. So what actually creates that kind of resonance in your energy field? It's clarity about what you truly want. It's stillness in the midst of chaos. It's emotional honesty with yourself and others. It's the conscious choice to embody the energy of your desire before it physically arrives, not as some kind of performance or fantasy, but with genuine, quiet confidence that it's already done. This is the exact signal that the quantum field responds to every single time. I already am what I'm asking for. I already carry that frequency. I already match that vibration. Not because the external evidence has shown up yet, but because it's already true at the level of pure frequency and energy. And that's the precise moment when your entire field begins to shift and reorganize itself. Not through effort or force, not through grinding or hustling, but through pure attunement to what already is. As your nervous system begins to trust this new signal you're sending, your energy naturally stabilizes itself. And when your energy stabilizes at that new frequency, your outer world can finally reflect it back to you in physical form. In the comments right now, I want you to drop one word, just one single word that captures the energy you're choosing to carry forward from this moment on. Maybe it's alignment, maybe it's ease, maybe it's power, maybe it's trust, maybe it's something completely unique to you and your journey. Let that word be a small but profound declaration, a signal you're planting not just in this comment section but in the quantum field itself. Your word matters, your energy matters, you matter. Next, we're going to break down the actual mechanics behind how the quantum field mirrors your inner state, how your focus determines exactly what unfolds in your reality, how coherence transforms into command, and why trying harder is literally the least effective path to creating real change in your life. Because once you truly understand what's happening beneath the surface, you don't try to change reality anymore. You shift into the version of yourself that's already living the reality you desire. And that shift, it begins right now in this very moment. Now that you've experienced the clarity that comes from coherence and you understand the influence of resonance, it's time to look deeper at how the quantum field actually responds to you. If you've ever wondered why some of your intentions seem to land effortlessly and manifest quickly while others just remain suspended in possibility forever, here's the real reason. The field doesn't reward desire or wanting. It reflects your dominant energetic frequency at any given moment. And that frequency is primarily shaped by one key factor, where your attention consistently lives and resides. Let's break this down so it makes complete sense. The quantum field is absolutely limitless in its potential. Every possible version of you already exists within it right now. Each potential outcome and timeline is already encoded in the field, not waiting to be created from scratch, but simply waiting to be observed into physical form. According to the observer effect in quantum physics, particles remain in a state of pure probability until they are actually measured, until focused attention causes them to collapse into solid matter and physical reality. That means your attention isn't neutral at all. It's creative. It's powerful. It literally determines which version of reality gets to come into your view and experience. This is exactly why quantum shifting isn't about force or trying to control outcomes. It's about choosing your reality through genuinely focused attention and then stabilizing that choice through your internal state. Most people genuinely don't realize just how scattered their focus really is throughout the day. They think about prosperity and abundance in the morning when they're feeling good, stress over scarcity by noon when bills come to mind, and drift off at night in a haze of worry about the future. That's not alignment at all. It's a confused signal going out to the field. And the quantum field doesn't punish you for confusion. It simply reflects that confusion back to you. That's why your results often feel random, inconsistent, or delayed. But when your focus sharpens and becomes clear, when you learn to hold your vision steadily without clinging to it desperately, without fear of losing it, without urgency pushing you, something incredible begins to reorganize itself around you. The timeline that actually matches your signal starts to take physical form. People start showing up in your life, circumstances begin to align, choices become obvious, and tiny moments begin to work together, not through effort or force, but through pure resonance and attraction. You're not bending the world to your will through manipulation. You're syncing with the version of reality that's already aligned with your vibration naturally. Now, here's a subtle truth that most people completely miss in this process. You don't shift through thought alone. You shift through identity. Your conscious mind may desire the new reality and picture it clearly, but your subconscious mind, that deeper emotional frequency you're actually operating from day to day, may still be completely tuned to the old version of you. And if that's the case, the field won't reflect your thoughts or wishes. It will reflect your actual identity, the one you're living from. This is where internal alignment becomes absolutely sacred, not as some checklist of things to do, but as a return to your true self. Every single time you bring yourself back to coherence, not by fixing yourself, but by simply remembering who you are, you reinforce a new identity. Not a self you're trying to invent or create from nothing, but a self that already exists, just waiting for your permission to step forward and lead. So ask yourself this honest question right now. Who are you being in this exact moment? Not in your behavior or actions, not in your performance for others, but in your essence, in your presence, in your pure energy. Because the version of you who already embodies the life you've been envisioning and dreaming about isn't somewhere out of reach in the distant future, it's accessible right now. And you don't get there by striving and reaching, you get there by allowing and opening. So before we move into the final part of this journey, if this message has stirred something deep inside you, if you're feeling the spark of possibility opening up, hit that subscribe button right now. Click the bell icon next to it if your brain just went, damn, I needed to hear this. Not because it's some obligation, but because it feels right to you. This isn't just a channel you're subscribing to, it's a frequency you're tuning into. If you felt even a slight nudge or shift while watching, you're already tuned in. We're not just watching content here, we're practicing new ways of being. We're not just absorbing information, we're creating possibilities. We're not just learning concepts, we're remembering truth. I'm truly glad you're here. Let's keep growing and shifting together. In our final chapter, we're going to bring this entire journey full circle. You're going to discover how to fully embody quantum shifting, not as some technique you practice occasionally, but as an actual way of living your daily life. We're also going to explore the final key to anchoring your new timeline, so it doesn't just flash in briefly like a moment of inspiration, but becomes your new stable baseline that you operate from consistently. Stay with this, because the shift isn't coming someday in the future. It's already unfolding right now. Let's bring this entire journey down to its pure essence. By now you understand this fundamental truth. The quantum field doesn't respond to effort or hard work. It responds to alignment. It doesn't reflect what you say you want with your words. It mirrors exactly who you consistently are in your being. And the shift you're looking for, it's not something you reach for desperately. It's something you tune into and allow. It's simpler than most people are willing to accept. So simple, in fact, that the ego often completely overlooks it, dismisses it as too easy, or actively tries to complicate it to feel more legitimate. But those who truly shift realities, those who actually inhabit new timelines and live from new frequencies, they know this deep truth. Simplicity isn't a trap or some kind of spiritual bypassing. It's the actual truth of how this works. And the reason so many people never stabilize in their new timeline, it's not because they're doing something wrong or broken. It's because they don't remain in the signal long enough for the shift to fully take root in their system. They touch it briefly and then bounce back to the old frequency out of habit. So, let's be absolutely clear about this. You don't quantum shift by trying harder or doing more. You shift by aligning more cleanly, more gently, more honestly with who you truly are. You shift when you finally stop chasing the future version of yourself and start embodying that person right now. Now, that doesn't mean pretending to be someone you're not. It doesn't mean forcing yourself to smile when you're in genuine pain. It means holding space for your full emotional reality without losing your core identity in the experience. That's emotional wisdom. That's energetic integrity. And that is exactly what the quantum field listens to and responds to every time. You're not here to hustle for transformation like it's something external you need to earn. You're here to become the version of you for whom transformation is completely natural and effortless. And once you truly do that, once you embody that frequency, life stops feeling like an endless chase and starts reflecting you back to yourself clearly. That's when you begin to move differently through the world. Your energy enters the room before your physical body does. You speak less but with way deeper impact. You ask for less but somehow receive more. Not because you're trying to manipulate the field or trick the universe, but because you've become genuinely coherent with it. This is why the most powerful teachers of manifestation and quantum shifting don't obsess over technique or method. They embody state. They don't give you something new that you didn't have before. They activate what's already been alive within you all along. They don't add layers of complexity. They reveal simplicity. And so right now, this is your moment to remember. Remember who you already are underneath everything. The timeline you want is already available to you. The one where you're grounded, clear, magnetic, and aligned. Not because everything in your external world is perfect or fixed, but because you've stopped outsourcing your frequency to your environment and circumstances. Let this be the shift that actually holds and sticks. Let this be the signal you return to consistently, not to prove anything to anyone, but simply because it's home to you. What's one thing you truly want to manifest right now? The thing that's most important to you in this moment? Maybe it's financial abundance, maybe it's a healthy relationship, maybe it's a fit body, maybe it's something completely unique to your soul's calling. Drop it in the comments below. Let this be a small but profound declaration, a signal you're sending to the universe, not just in this space, but into the quantum field itself. Be honest, be you. And if you've come this far in the video, you know by now that this wasn't just content or information. This was a frequency transmission. Something in you, something subtle but undeniable, has already begun to shift whether you fully recognize it yet or not. If you felt it, if something genuinely resonated deep in your being, let that be the sign you needed. You've already crossed over into a new version of yourself. You don't need to subscribe to a channel for the sake of subscribing. You've already subscribed to a frequency, one that quietly but powerfully declares, I remember who I am. Welcome home to yourself. You've always been the shift you were seeking, and now the quantum field knows it and is responding. Make sure you share this video with your friends and family, especially with someone you know who really needs to hear this message today. You could be a blessing in disguise for them without even realizing it. Remember, you're not just sharing a video, you're spreading conscious awareness and positive transformation, and that energy will amplify your own manifestations and come back to you multiplied. Real ones share value and breakthroughs, not just entertainment. Pass this on if you're that kind of human who lifts others up. And if you're ready to go even deeper into quantum manifestation, I've got another video that reveals ancient secrets about timeline jumping that will absolutely blow your mind. Click through to watch it next, because your journey is just beginning and there's so much more power waiting for you to claim it.